Alright, I'm gonna be playing some pub games live commentary thing because I wanna, bring out a video at least like once a week so I can entertain the few but nice people that actually enjoy watching my content. So I'm playing Calf King. It's actually one of my favorite maps. I really like the way it looks. I'm playing as the soldier class. This is honestly why I think pubbing. Oh, look, yeah, there it goes. The lag, because I live in a third world country that does not have reliable internet connection, even though you're paying like 30 bucks for it every month. Yeah, that's great, dude. That's great. Right. So, because apparently I am not allowed to play video games online during any time I want, especially the evenings, because the internet quality in rural Germany is comparable to that in Central Africa, I am not capable of recording any live footage. So I've decided I'm just gonna do another normal commentary about something that has been on my mind for a little while. And as long as I have things to talk about, I mean, I don't need live footage, do I? I mean, everybody ever has already played on pubs, so there's nothing original about that anyways. Talking about unoriginality, these days on YouTube apparently it's completely fine to be unoriginal or have absolutely cancerous content, as long as you're self-conscious about it. You can still continue doing it. But as long as you keep saying, oh, my content is so bad, or I know I'm being unoriginal here, but I'm gonna do it anyways, you can do it. You can do anything you want. So without delaying anything further, I'm just gonna go ahead and talk about a concept in TF2 that has been interesting me for a little while, and that is people maining certain classes, or people maining classes in general, because it's just a concept that I don't really understand. Of course, people are free to play whatever they want. This is a free game and you can play whatever you want. I just don't understand why you would limit yourself to only or almost exclusively playing a single class or two. Because whenever I see anything related to people maining classes, it's usually because other people are making fun of it. Like, look at that pathetic sniper main, or this is the typical scout main right there, or all pyro mains are fucking douchebags, all kind of stuff like that, you know? But why is that? It's easily understandable as to why people pick a certain class to main. I mean, either they identify with that class or the loadout they give them, trying to make it look like they want it to look like, or they just like playing the class. It's the favorite thing they want to do in this game, and everybody's entitled to their own opinion about that. You can very simply see this, for example, with basically every Team Fortress 2 YouTuber. They always have a recognizable loadout of their main class that they use for all of their branding, such as the profile picture or anything else that revolves around their channel or their profile or anything. And many other people do this as well. If you're trying to look for a definition of what a main class is though, normally or most of the time you're probably just gonna be like, oh yeah, that's the class I play the most, and that I have the most playtime in. But if that's the only definition, that's, at least for me, really far off. Because even if you were to look at my stats, I have like more than twice the amount of pyro than I have in any other class in the entire game. Yet I am by no means a pyro main. This is just simply because I used to, a couple years ago, and I still occasionally do, play a lot of dodgeball because the only class you can play there is pyro. That's how I amassed such a huge playtime on pyro. Yet I never actually really play pyro as much outside of dodgeball. However, this may just be an exception in my unique case. So for most people, their most played class is probably usually their main. Now the more interesting question is as to why and how people choose their mains, because I don't imagine someone just opening up the class selection screen and going like, you know what, I want to become a spy main, so I'm going to become a spy main. I don't think that's how it works. There's got to be something more to that. Obviously I could just run some psychological analysis on a person and then deduce the perfect class for them to main based on the results, but I think that's a little far-fetched. As I've mentioned before, people usually tend to main the classes that are the most fun for them. And if you keep this in mind, you can sort of see a kind of pattern in how the distribution of class mains is, how many people main which class. The higher the skill ceiling of a class is, and the more abilities it has with different loadouts or different things that it can do in the game, the more people also tend to main that class. That's why, for example, you see a lot of soldier mains or a lot of spy mains but you don't see a lot of heavy or demo mains for that matter. I've been asked multiple times in the past about which class I actually main, and my response was usually just something along the lines of, I don't know, I guess I like playing Soldier, or I guess I like playing Scout. Does that make me a Scout main? Of course I do prefer playing certain classes over other classes, and I can't play every class to an equal level of skill since I am not some sort of unhuman robot that can play everything on a level that is very good. So considering the playtime, I'm probably a lot better at Soldier than I am at Medic, but I still don't feel like I am a Soldier main. I've played with people that never really switched class, they always only played as their one main class, and you barely ever got them to even switch class to anything else, either because they've already invested so much time into their main and they don't even know or consider playing anything else because they only know this one class, or they're just really stubborn, one of the two. It's kind of an interesting thing to see people that only main one class try to play something else, and then obviously, as a result, be rather bad at it, because those 2,000 hours of TF2 aren't really spent in a useful way on trade servers and playing nothing but Spy. I rarely actually encounter people that are somewhat decent at almost every class, until you obviously look at high-level competitive players that have developed a sort of ground level of skill to work off of with any class they play because of their game sense and their skills being at a point where they can play decently with any class. This whole effect becomes even more extreme when you see someone that has decked out their main class with something like a triple unusual combo and the sickest skins or Australians, and they literally wear the gibbous on every single other class because they don't ever even play those. And with competitive matchmaking on the horizon, I kind of see some problems here as well, especially with people that are gonna be playing on lower ranks. Like, we all know that guy that just joins a competitive matchmaking game and just goes Pyro right off the bat. Cool. That's his thing. He can play Pyro, I don't mind it. As long as he does well, he's crediting the team, he can help. But as soon as we start losing, or he maybe doesn't do as well, he needs to realize that maybe the team could deal better with a second Scout, or a second Soldier, or even having a Heavy or something that might be able to dish out more damage over longer range than a Pyro. And then maybe you tell him, you know, Pyro, maybe you should switch to Scout, that could help for the next round, maybe we have a better chance then. And then he just comes with the excuse, well, yeah, I can try playing Scout, but I'm bad at it, you know? And then when I see that people like that have like 1.5k, maybe even 2k hours in the game, and have been playing for maybe even 2 or 3 years, and then they've spent most of their time on a single class, trying to become an expert or a professional for that one class, I think that's kind of a waste, honestly. Because I'd rather be good or like really decent at multiple classes than be just an expert for a very specific class that isn't maybe even that useful all around. This could also be related to people maybe even being scared of playing a different class from their main in fear of messing up and disappointing their team. This also ties in with another video I've seen recently by a guy called Ridercycle. Basically, he mentions that the community's hostility towards free-to-play players is deterring new players from actually staying with the game. And when you think about it, he's completely right. Imagine starting up a new game and then joining a public server just to be insulted and made fun of by people that have played the game for several years before you, instead of them trying to help you maybe get better at the game or understanding things. I wouldn't have fun. And if you expand on that, this also probably makes people not even bother trying to learn all the other classes, because either they don't have the time, as they're just a casual player, they don't have the time to read up on all the things that the class can do or just invest the time to play it, and nobody's teaching them. And if you combine this with the lack of in-game tutorials and tips to teach new players all the classes and the game's kinks, and the fact that nobody is helping them learn, they are basically forced to only play a single class because they don't have the time to figure out how to play the other ones. Obviously, the plus side, as I also mentioned before, that a class main is usually a professional, a specialist at his class. He's also going to be very good at that class, and you can't just have anybody else come along and beat him at that class. It's probably not going to happen. And for a game mode like Highlander, obviously you only need to know how to play one class, unless you want to, for some reason, always play a different class each season or something, but that's usually not the case. And knowing when to switch and how to play certain other classes can easily give your team an upper hand in a class-based shooter, because you can abuse the other team's weaknesses. If everybody knew how to switch class or which class was needed for which situation, Valve servers would never be filled with 3 snipers, 2 spies, and 5 pyros, but it's not a very well-known concept. In the end, I might just be an exception from the rule of people maining certain classes, and while I do enjoy playing some over others, I can't comprehend throwing away 8 out of 9 classes and thus effectively 88% of the game just to always play a single class.